makeup arena. That's going to include Samantha Jacobs, Isabella Jones, Kate Jones, Drew Lawson, Mason Metzger, Kara Lunau, and Emma Lau.
As we start back after lunch, first and foremost, incredible pork chop. Don't think I've ever had one that good. So my compliments to the chef down there. Very good class of our beginner 4-H'ers. He just told me again what it was called, and I already forgot. But very good class of them, and always fun because obviously these kids and the next 2 or 3 classes that we have, hopefully they're get the opportunity at some point in their life to maybe get out and show some pigs, and this is the future of what you have in your 4-H and FFA programs around here. Some of them do an awesome job. That young lady out there at the Blue Belly Guild, those 2 are having quite a bit of fun together, and everybody else is too. My compliments, each and every one of them, from grandmas and grandpas, and aunts and uncles, and friends of the family, mom and dad, whoever you are. Make sure you give them a great big hug and a good round of applause before they exit the ring. Good first class of our year. Class 2 of our mini 4-H'ers, including Samantha Jacobs, Isabella Jones, Kate Jones, Drew Lawson, Emmy Lau, Kara Lunau, and Mason Metzger. Then we're going to need Class 3 minis into the makeup arena. Cheney Miller,
Lawson, we have your exhibitor's card up here at the announcer's table. Ethan Lawson, we have your exhibitor's card.
Second class of them, I think 2 of 3, right? 3 classes. 8, another good class of them, and hopefully everybody's getting their pictures and everybody's having fun on the outside like these kids are in here. Again, a great group of them, doing an awesome job. Cool personalities in some of them whenever they come in, give you a 5 or handshake. Good job done by each and every one of them. Give them a nice round of applause here.
All right, our final group, our third class of mini 4-H'ers today, Cheney Miller, Aisley Montel, Lila Mao, Griffin Newton, Connor Overmeyer, Avery Ramsey, and Harper Simpson.
some of these pigs have obviously already been in the ring and they kind of know where the out gate is and they just kind of want to get out of here. But the kids are doing a phenomenal job of still trying to get them shown and get them presented. And so my compliments from that standpoint. Everybody dressing up, looking like good showmen out here and doing a great job. Again, a big round of applause if you could for each and every one of the kids here for an awesome group of kids.
Class 42 crossbred barrows into the makeup arena. We'd also like to give a special thanks to Brent Heiser and the Swine Committee members for time spent at welding gates and preparing the barn for check-in. Recognizing Craig Welding for welding and repairing gates and hauling them back and forth to the barns. Chris and Betsy Gardner for painting the trophies. Gus Lukens for purchasing pizza for the volunteers at check-in night. We'd like to thank the Fair Board for all of their improvements to our barn. And we'd like to thank all the volunteers who helped with check-in and paperwork to make the show possible. We'd also like to thank Kate Myers for donating water today for the show ring volunteers. And we'd like to thank Beacon Bank for selecting the Swine Committee as one of the next organizations to be featured in their Spotlight program. Please check Beacon's website beginning August 1st for more information as you cast your vote for the Swine Barn. Class 43 crossbred barrows, make your way to the makeup arena, Class 43.
graduate to go ahead and start the crosses off. Really good blue barrel to go ahead and start. This is a hawk that brings forth look and presence. Big ball, big feature, really wide and square, leaving you good back shape in that barrel. Just a real good lightweight hawk to go ahead and start. I thought second and third got just a little bit closer to me. Both those hawks maybe breed just a little bit more moderate in the lightweight class. The barrel I end up putting in second. This is a bit better out front of his shoulder blade. I like his shape better down his top from there out of his hip. It's just a pinch round and maybe wants to tuck his hind leg up underneath him. Not quite as good on his front feet. Barrow's maybe wanting to fight a little bit of a lung issue here that's in third. Got big bones, really big in his arm and his hind leg. This gets a stress and it gets too tight off the either end of his skeleton for me to move him up in the lineup. Got a good lightweight Duroc Barrow. I don't know if he just maybe didn't come with a pedigree today to the show or what ended up happening, but that's a good lightweight Duroc. If you talk about squareness and just general build, like to lengthen him out everywhere. I think he gets just a little more jammed up in the pack. Nice barrow there. Belted hog, my buddy there at 5. Got a good looking barrow. Needs more shape and bone to be competitive. Get down the line up there. We just end up sorting them in terms of muscle on a pair of barrows that need to be better moving. Congratulations to him.
Placings for Class 42 cross barrows. First, Matt Summers. Second, Jerry Plummer. Third, Zane Young. Fourth, Haley Backus. And fifth, Skylar Painter. Class 44 cross barrows into the makeup arena. Class 44. Class, so thank you
the top three can get just a little bit closer. The longer that I just watch them go, the more I like the blue mare that I start with. I'm not saying he's perfect. The critics of him will harp on him in terms of his front foot, setting a little deep, and that hog just coordinated enough out of his rear too to go ahead and win this class. But I don't see another one in here that's any sounder than him, that has that bone, that look, that shape, and just hardness of back, and yet still comes and goes the way that he does. So I end up starting with him. The blue mare is in second, and if that thing would just drive like these other two do, I think maybe all of a sudden he pushes your class winner harder because he is squarer. He's the more correct mare in the way that his hind leg comes out of his hip. He sets down a little square on his rear too. For me, it's whenever he comes right to me, it's when the profile in terms of steepness of rump and just depth of flank that I end up beating him. I think to me he's too shallow through his rib, gets too steep in his hip, narrows just a bit right there at the base of his skeleton. Got a good handle on this pick. This young man does a good job of getting that barrel out and presenting him. Nice build one there at the ground. It just needs quite a bit more to him to be competitive with those top two. We get down through the lineup of them. I think these dogs have plenty of muscle shape. I just sort them in terms of their feet and legs, and that's how I end up hitting them. My compliments to the group of them. Again, another nice top pair in this class.
Placings for class 43. First, Connor Summers. Second, Gavin Young. Third, Jesse Schreiber. Fourth, Ethan Lawson. And fifth, Kirsten Gardner.
Super good class as we end our lightweight division or Division 1 here, and I think to me the top 3 or 4 of them are quality and take nothing away from the rest of them. I just think right now, presentation of these top three is impeccable in our lightweight division, and the heat's been turned up. The red calico bear that I start with, he's one of those that, to me, whenever he initially hits the ring, he's just kind of got that wow factor to him. I mean, up-headed, more extended than our bear is. It's in second, maybe just even that much better in terms of his rear posture and the way that he sets. I'm not saying he's perfect. You could square his front feet up coming right to you. It's maybe just a little rounder in his hip off to the profile of him. But man, you know, a cool marked one with a neat look to him, opened up big underneath. He stays the most correct, the most comfortable, and the fundamentals are right in that barrel to go ahead and start. The freshness of rib and muscle shape and back and hip and the bear that's in second is ideal in my opinion, and they've done an awesome job of getting that particular barrel filled up properly to his frame. I think he blends a proportional balance from the profile. All four of his feet for me are a concern, because when he comes in a little flatter like that, you wonder, will the barrel tighten? And he did the longer we continued to drive him, which really wasn't that long. That barrel started to hesitate more, maybe just a little bit of a non-end, sometimes a little stressy, and that's what's maybe led to his undoing. I've got to fix his four pastures and just extend that barrel out maybe a rib and go ahead and let him go better up front. Belted barrel at third, if I could get that thing to grab the gear of what we have in your class winner, I could use his strength of foot, his shape, and his freshness leaving me to go ahead and start the class. Never could get a good view of that hog driving. He just got a little too tensed up in his hip and his hind leg for me to want to move him up. That's a good barrel there in three. One that comes out in fourth again, just a solid barrel. Not going to hit you hard anywhere, but just not really a big hole in him. A good hog in terms of width and bone, and again, still pretty sound. Just doesn't have the extras of what those top three do, but a nice barrel in fourth. Young ladies comes out in five, big shape. Love the width and blade and just back in that hog. He's got some swelling back there through the rear part of his flank. Got to clean that up, drop his flank, soften his rib, let him get to going better. The remaining two there, we got a nice belted hog in terms of length of body. His pattern's pretty good, just not enough to him. The Hereford barrel that rounds the class out. Pretty good Hereford. I like that barrel's shape and squareness, just not enough to him to be competitive in the crosses. Congrats to the whole group of them.
Placing for class 44, first, Braden under Overmeyer. Second, Isabel Scales. Third, Zane Young. Fourth, Bryce Lehman. And fifth, Olivia Jones. Now in our drive for champion lightweight barrel, from class 42, Matt Summers. From class 43, Connor Summers. And class 44, Braden under Overmeyer.
When you know what you want, you just kind of roll with it. Don't take no time, because it'll just confuse you, is what I've always been told. I'm easy to get confused. There's three good hogs out here. I like each and every one of them. If I could jam each one of these three together, we'd have us a killer. And I still think we do. I know that these hogs have different destinations than just at the county fair. If I could take the two blue hogs and just recorrect their step behind, recorrect their joints, they've got some swelling on the inside of their hocks there, and pick them up front, I think all of a sudden we've got two of them there that are extra wide, extra good in their shape, real neat looking out through their head for being more moderate kind of size barrows, and a neat look to them there. The red roan one kind of comes at us, you know, real big through his chest, perfect shape and curvature to his forearm. Love his length of body, his depth to his rib. His shape is awesome in his top whenever you're up on top of him. Just a neat looking color pattern to that hog. He gets a tucking and ducking his hip and hind leg just a little bit. I think that's getting really critical on him. I thought that final class was dang sure deep and a good class there. Young man's calico is my champion life. Congratulations to him.
We need class 45 barrows into the makeup arena, class 45.
Bring young lady's blue-eyed barrow back out, and a powerful, powerful barrow. If I could give him the running gear of what we had in our class winner, even though maybe he dumps a little bit behind with his hind leg, I could probably use that extra width and bulk and shake through his body. He is so stout and yet still a pretty good looking hog out front of his blade. He's the square one of the three of them that are out here. Little ornery to kind of move, but I mean, man, he's a darn good one in the lights too. I'd be hard not to keep those two together. Young lady's second place is reserved. Congrats, sir.
Our champion lightweight barrow, exhibited by Brayton under Overmeyer, with the trophy sponsorship by Eldon and Virginia Gone. Our reserve champion lightweight barrow, exhibited by Isabel Scales. Now for our drive for our county bred and born from class 42, Max Summers, class 43, Connor Summers, and class 44, Olivia Jones.
We got our three barrows back out here. Obviously, the two blue ones are good class winners, and I talked about them. I just like to redirect the way that both those hogs go behind it. I just don't see them maybe just quite as square and just true in the way that they track going right away from you. Got a barrow there that, right now he fits his frame with his muscle and his body. Where will he be at in terms of frame size long term? Got a real pretty built one that if I could give him a different gear there behind and the way that he sets to the ground with his rear foot, just his whole stability of his hind leg, could probably win the lightweight division. Just didn't see him quite as correct. I still think amongst the trio of them out here, he is the best one. That young man right there will go ahead and be next in this division. Congratulations again. With the two that are out here, the young ladies is definitely in good shape. We talked about cleaning him up down low there through his rear rib and back through his flank. Love the blue one's stoutness. Again, be hard not to keep him in that pair. That'll be your reserve born and bred here in the county. Congratulations to him.
Our champion county bred born light exhibitor, Connor Summers, and reserve champion, Max Summers. Class 46, crossbred barrows into the makeup arena, class 46.
Young lady there with the white bear out the center ring has a class winner that for me comes a handle in this class. The square built one that still has the added muscle and bulk of what the other two do. It's just a little forward in his shoulder blade, not the longest stride one ever, but still comparatively to what we have down the lineup. I don't see many warps on his feet and legs. So I'll go ahead and start with him just because he is the square, truer one as he leaves me. The blue bear that ends up here in second, for me, both of these hogs have plenty of shape. This one's bigger bone. He's cleaner in his rear joints than what the belted hog is. I still like to square him up whenever I get right in behind him, pick him up on his front feet to go ahead and call him a class winner. Belted hog's tremendously big back and really big in his hip. Looks like he's fighting an injury behind in his right hind leg in particular. Got some swelling wrapped around his joint. Like to see him just get out here and have a more comfortable rear skeleton to move him up the lineup. The remaining pair of them, good muscled hogs, just don't blend and balance quite as well. Study feet and legs, and that's the way I split them. Congratulations to that group of them. If you would give them a nice round of applause, we'll liven them back up. Good job done by the group of them.
Placings for class 45. First, Allie Harsh. Second, Brock Heiser. Third, Olivia Jones. Fourth, Brant Beck. And fifth, Caleb Gardner. Class 47 cross barrows to start heading to the makeup arena, class 47.
Another good setup of two really high quality crossbred barrows to be out here in contention within this particular class. The belted hog, as soon as he turns and drives at me, he just kind of tells the story of one that just has a shot more everywhere. He's wider chested, bigger arm, tremendously bold and big in his back. His loin rolls up real big and tight on each side of his spine, incredibly wide and square, leaving you, and yet still good in his feet and legs. Extra fresh, good looking show barrow. She's done an awesome job with. The barrow that's in second, again, I mean, he creases up awesome down his top, perfect skin and hair. That young lady does such a good job of presenting that barrow. I wondered how he'd come at me, because from the profile, it looks like his forearm will deviate, coming right at you. It needs to be better through the floor of his chest, right into his knee, kind of fix him right there at the top of his neck or where it comes into the crest. I just want to go ahead and blend him a little bit smoother, let him get out of the front end of his skeleton with more reach, rear 2/3 of him. It's real good. When it comes down to the third is the young man's here. Like this big blue hog, I think he's productive, he's shapely, just a good high credibility mare that's standing free comparatively to what we have down the lineup. And yeah, still some extended, good about his hip, just a little straighter on both ends. I'd like to loosen him up in his joints, let him get out here and drive with just a bit more ease. The belted mare that's in 4 is just a nicer built one than what we have in 5. He's square in his hind legs. He's not nearly as stout, not nearly as bold, but his hind wheels are just so much better than the blue-headed hogs. The blue-headed mare looks like he had a real good day a long time ago. Would be a neat baby pig, I'm sure, in terms of his look and just how big those bones are. I can't get over his hind legs. I just wish they were better. For me to move him up in the lineup and stay correct in what I've done in terms of structure, that mare's got to sit where he does. Black Hog's better than the Hereford in terms of just soundness and feature. The Hereford mare is a nice presented one there in terms of length of body and rib. Needs more punch. Congratulations to him again. Awesome class.
Placings for class 46, first, Allie Harsh, second, Isabel Scales, third, Colin Grossman, fourth, Wilson Smith, and fifth, Grant Nelson. Now we have our drive for a champion middleweight crossbred, which will be class 45, Allie Harsh, and class 46, Allie Harsh.
I don't know that we've had a pair of hogs come into a division drive and look so similar in the way that these two are put together. Great body, real square built behind, incredibly fresh in their shape whenever you're up on top of them. One of them's a little better looking out front of his blade, one of them square and truer at the ground and just kind of motors just a bit better up on both ends, and yet still just a little bigger footed. Good pair of mares. The Belted Hogs, my champion in Division 2. Congratulations to her. Brings the barrel back in. There was second in that particular class. I talked about him. Awesome shape to his top, really stout in terms of his hind leg. Wanted to fix the way that hog came right at me. I just want to make him more genuine right there at the top of his shoulder blade, and from there down, I mean, his knees are very, very close to touching. Rear 2/3 of him is definitely good. Got the other blue-eyed mare out here that to me just looks the most like your champion in this division in terms of length of body, big rib, big back bone, very square whenever he leaves you. I think to me, you just kind of weigh the checks and balances, go back and forth. Which one has the least faults amongst the pair of two very good blue barrels? To me, it's the one that looks the most like your champion. Young lady right here is reserved. Congratulations to her.
Our champion middleweight cross barrow exhibited by Allie Harsh today, with the trophy sponsored by Dennis of Lindenberg. The reserve champion middleweight barrow exhibited by Allie Harsh.
Good pair of barrows to be out here for reserve contention, I believe. I think it is in our county board. A very, very nice pair of barrows. I'd like to make the Belted Hog's hind leg more stable. Like I said, it looks like his right hind leg maybe fought an injury at some point. Just wanting to set it down real hard and more mechanical. Got some swelling there. Blue Hog's intriguing to me. I just don't know that I can ever call his front end just right. Got to square his knees up. I'm a big chest floor guy. Needs to be better there right at the top of his neck. Again, from there back, impressive show barrow. Easily the next one in this division. Congratulations to her.
So our champion county born and bred middleweight cross barrow exhibited by Allie Harsh, and the reserve champion county bred and born by Isabel Scales. leading Class 48 cross barrows into the makeup arena, Class 48.
Another real deep class. Young lady's blue-eyed mare here up to my right is going to be my class winner, without a doubt, coming and going. The widest base, most genuine mare, but yet still the best moving, running here on each end of his body as I work towards his framework and just start to study feet and legs. He's got him in check. Huge rolled up, creased up back whenever you're up on top of him. Maybe a little round for some, but I don't know that he's any rounder than what we have down the lineup in this class. So I go ahead and easily start with him. Got a real pretty front and good forearm, big front-footed show mare, and two. Love the front two-thirds of it. I need more shape in that mare's top line, and I'd like to clean him up right there behind his sheath where he's got some swelling. Just make him a bit wider right at the ground. Make that width more natural. He just doesn't have a whole bunch of shape, and then he's kind of wide right through his chest. But then from there to the ground, he wants to narrow up just a bit more. I still saw him a little fresher right at the top of his neck. I watched him handling his rear wheels and his front end better than what the Blue Barrel does that comes out here next in third. This one's got a big engine and rib cage in him, tremendously heavy bone, probably the biggest bone of the top three of them. Just too stale right at the crest of his neck. Doesn't want to get out of either end of his skeleton with enough reach for me, but I read him more toned down in his condition and better in his muscle shape than what we have in the mare here that's in four. The mare that comes out in four, he looks like he swallowed about everything at Thanksgiving dinner. They gave him every bit of what he wanted to eat. He is big big belly, probably too much, to be very honest with you. Just takes away from his balance and his proportionality out here. I've got to go ahead and pick that gut up in him, clean his body shape up, give him more natural muscle to his hip, his top line, and just square his rear wheels up whenever he turns and leaves me. Very fresh in his skin and hair, very well presented by the young man. The man that comes out here next got a big, heavy muscle, shapely barrel. It's just too stilty on both ends. I watch him move. He's too straight up through his shoulder, too short stride behind. Young lady's here that comes out. We talked about him within his respective division of pairs earlier. Got to clean that bear's sheath up. Looks like he had maybe kind of a hernia down there at one point. Still does. Needs more back shape, and we just got to fix those rear two whenever he walks. Get the other two back out here. Just soundness alone is what lets the belted barrel stay up. The Blue Hog will end up rounding the class out with plenty of rib and dimension. Just needs quite a bit more real shape and look. Congratulations to them all. Again, a very nice class to work through. Good class with it.
Placings for class 47. First, Ashley Klein. Second, Isaac Randall. Yeah, Isaac Ramsey. Yes. Third, Gavin Young. Fourth, Tyler Gardner-Vermeyer. And fifth, Gary Palmer. Class 49 cross bearers into the makeup arena, class 49.
Again, awesome class there to work through, and the heat, you know, we talked about it in the very last class of our lightweight divisions. The heat's been turned up even more as we get up here in our middle and in the light part of our heavyweights. We've got two barrows that I think are incredibly good, and whenever they come to you into the ring and they have that kind of presence at a county fair, and whenever you get on top of them and you get right behind them and you watch these things go, those are two big league show barrows. The one that comes at me wider, the one that's harder back, the one that's thicker whenever you get right in behind him, and yet still so stout at the ground. Incredibly good in his movement is the young man's belted hog. I love the feature, I love the outline, I love the back, I love the kip, and just the general build of that particular barrow. If I'm nitpicking on him, it's at his ham loin, and I kept saying, man, it's just not good enough right there, and I could beat him because this one's smoother in his top, and he just looks prettier from the side. If I'm just simply beating him on one thing, I think I'm harping on him too much, guys. That's a good belted barrow to win this particular class. The black-headed hog comes to me incredible in his presence, perfect in his skin and hair, sound, comfortable, good looking, great in his rib. He doesn't have the width of chest, he doesn't have the muscle shape of what your class winner does, but he does hook up a little better in his ham loin, probably a little softer looking in his flank, a square middle one that's good looking, that's sound. Those two did an awesome job of driving him as well. Same thing with this young man. I saw this one as an entry in his pair division there earlier, and I thought to myself, boy, the barrow's going to be tough to get around. And he still is. I mean, this barrel comes with quality, and in most classes, a barrel like this with that kind of quality can win. I hope we can agree that he needs to be wider as he comes right to us at the ground. He needs a pinch more bone, and he's just not nearly as powerful whenever you right in behind him as what those top two barrows are. He's perfectly driven, excuse me. The young man does an awesome job from that standpoint. Big ribbed, very, very sound. Just needs more to him. That's where I almost beat him with this hog, because I thought, man, here's a power hog that's going to hang a good carcass. Huge back, big bones, really big in his hip and ham. A barrow that for me just wants to stutter step too much. And what I mean by that is the fact that whenever he gets out and walks comparatively to those other three, he's the short stepping one. He's kind of a head bobber whenever he walks because his front end's not built right. If it was, I could probably move him up another spot at least, just in how stout and powerful that barrow is. It's just a nickel wide there at his left pop. Young ladies comes out another very good contestant in this particular class. Good entry in here. Big ribbed. Again, looks like, honestly, we fed him too much comparatively to his frame size. Being very up front, he's too fat. Got to peel quite a bit of fat and condition off that hog and give him more shape. Got the remaining pair of them. I just go ahead and study them in terms of muscle shape. All these hogs, plenty good on their feet and legs. All these hogs have plenty of muscle. I just go ahead and sort them in terms of width and squareness in the belted one versus the red belt there at the bottom. Give it up, if you could, one time for those kids in this class. An awesome class to work through.
Class 48 placings. First, Evan Harsh. Second, Sydney Nelson. Third, Cameron Klein. Fourth, Tanner Crom. And fifth, Lily Carroll. For champion light heavyweight drive, we will have the winner from class 47, Ashlyn Klein, and class 48, Evan Harsh.
Again, real good pair of barrows. I told you I thought the heat was kind of turned up as we got in here, and just like much expected, we kind of get them ready at this particular stage for a county fair, kind of get ready to rumble. And I think in the ring of them, there is one of them that is ready to rumble. You know, not perfect in one particular area, but guys, I mean, if he's got the seeds in him, or if we cut him, I mean, this is an intriguing show pig. And where we're at right now, our standards of length of body, front end and elevation up front, but still having the extras of forearm and hind leg and being so wide, so square. If you like good show barrows, you need to get up on top of him and watch that thing leave you one time, because he is big, he is bold, and he can still move it. Young man's belted hog, my champ. Congratulations to him. Brings out that barrel that was second in that class. Perfect presentation. Love his skin and hair. That young lady has done an awesome job of just getting that barrel prepared, and my compliments to her. That allows her to go ahead and in this particular setting have the one that's just smoother build, nicer pattern, longer hip. Not the most in terms of width coming right to you. Maybe just not the stoutest one ever in terms of muscle shape. Oh boy, when you step off to the profile of them, tell me you can build one any better, and I'd call you a liar because that one's darn good from the side. That's my reserve. Congratulations to her.
Our champion light heavyweight cross barrow today, exhibited by Evan Harsh. The trophy being sponsored by Eldon and the Jim Vaughn. The reserve champion, exhibited by Sydney Nelson. Our next drive is for the county bred and born, and out of class 47, Gary Plummer, and class 48, Tanner Crom.
Our champion and reserve will come from these two, and then we drop them both out, and obviously both dogs come out of quality classes. Blue Eye Barrow, just for me, gets too stilty on each end as you watch him move, a little shorter striding off of both ends. Belted Hog comes out of one of the deeper classes that we've had today. Huge rib cage, and it facilitates for all the spread that he's got. Big stout mug on him, and it comes all the way back into a massive blade. I just like to square him a pinch leaving me. Didn't think he was quite as good on that front shoe up on his foot. But in comparison to these two out here, he is definitely the stouter, bolder built one. The Belted Barrow is my champion. Blue Eyed one's reserved. Congratulations to him.
Our champion county bred born light heavyweight barrow, exhibited by Tanner Crum and reserved by Gary Plummer. We need class 50 crossbred barrows into the makeup room at class 50.
Another good class, very, very good class, and a unique barrow to win it. A hog that just kind of comes together as a heavyweight that is still fresh and just borderline on some areas and where he's at in terms of freshness at the top of his neck. They've done a good job of keeping him good, and where his China leg got a fat back in him, big, bold, square top whenever you're right up next to him. Incredibly big in his upper hip, equally as wide and square at the ground. Never miss a beat in terms of his feet and legs. If I'm offering on him, he's not the biggest legged one ever. And to me, for all the mass that he has up high, I'd like to stout that rear ankle and foot just a pinch more, but I think that's getting very, very critical, and another elite barrel to hit the ring here today. The Belted Hog is in second, wide built, big back, tremendously round in his rib cage and bold in his center body. Not the look of what your class winner has. It's not as extended out front, not as pretty in his appearance, but a market hog from their back. The Blue Barrel comes to us again. I don't know how many days they've been here or whatnot, or if this barrel is just that easy feed, but we've had a few of them come in that look like they swallowed quite a bit of feed back there before they got to the ring. He's one of them. If we peel all that back out of him and maybe not even fill him so much, that one may grab a different pin in this particular lineup, because he is dead level, big legs, and very, very square build. Too much center body. It makes him look too jammed up and compact out in the ring. That's a good barrel whenever you get to the rear third of him and watch him go away. Blue-eyed barrel comes out nice looking from the side. Not enough to him whenever you're up on top of him and right behind him. This looks like a heavyweight barrel that's just kind of staled out and got a little plane on us. Got to go ahead and give him more shake. That's what this barrel has, and that's why I was going to end up flipping this parrot sometimes. To me, though, whenever I got to the profile of him, he wasn't as up-headed, he wasn't as tall at the point of his shoulder, had a little swelling on the outside of his right rear joint I wanted to fix, and just kind of a little cumbersome movement. Always wanted to kind of bebop around and kick his head up and down, because his front end and his front feet maybe just aren't quite good enough. The two that end up rounding out the class, good muscle hogs, need to be better built on both ends. Congratulations to them all.
Placings for class 49. First, Ashlyn Klein. Second, Cameron Klein. Third, Maria Hunting. Fourth, Annie Harsh. And fifth, Riley Jordan.
It's okay to clap if you want to sometimes. Good job done by the group up as we finalize our last class of crossbreds here in this particular division. Young man that's closest to me has a barrel that for me in this particular class, although not perfect up front in relationship to the rest of them from their back, he's just got so much more spread. good in his rib, good on his hind legs, just a nice barrel to win this particular class. Got a bigger, more extended hog in second, real lean in his design. Doesn't get out of his rear end with enough comfort, reach, and just range of motion for me. What a nice hog there. Big belted bear in third, maybe a little sounder than what we have in the bear that's in second. Not as much to him though. You get up on top of him, he just kind of gets a little big and tall. Got to open his blade up and give him more muscle. Down the lineup, again, I think all three of those hogs can come out here and coordinate better. I just end up sorting them in terms of their shape, their leanness, and their cutout value. And if we hang them towards the rail or take them to market, I think to me that's where these end up splitting in the bottom. Congratulations to them.
Placings for Class 50 Cross Barrows. First, Brady Beck. Second, Mackenzie Lehman. Third, Mackenzie Lehman. Fourth, Mia Overmeyer. And fifth, Kirsta Gardner. Next is our drive for our champion heavyweight cross barrow from Class 49, Ashlyn Klein. From Class 50, Brady Beck.
Well, two real nice barrows. The belly barrow wins the last class, and just the fact that just a little sounder than the other ones that were in there. Thought to me his loin probably still rolled up a little pressure. Kind of ugly up front. Like to extend him out and just make him better in terms of his neckline and right in behind his shoulder. Blue barrow comes out here, and that's an impressive looking show barrow whenever you're out here and amongst a group of them. And where he'll fit, it'll be interesting as we get him back down, as we had some good ones there in the preceding divisions that have came. The one that will win this division, though, I think it might be just as good. We just got to get them together to see. I'd like to stout his hind leg just a little bit, and that's maybe where we'll call on him. But my gosh, is he big bladed, big backed, and real fresh right now. Blue one's my champ. Congratulations to her. Brings in that belted barrel that was second in that class. I told you, kind of looks like, he did about a 100-yard dash and a 90-yard gym. Just too flat-paced, too jammed up front. There, back, that thing is a monster truck in his blade, rib cage, and back, and yet still can withstand the drive there behind. Little ornery sometimes to drive, but in my opinion, he's the bigger, stouter, fresher one of that pair. The belted one that was second right here close to me, that'll be my reserve. Congrats to him.
Our champion heavyweight barrow, exhibited by Ashlyn Klein, with the trophy being sponsored by the Don Bauman family, and the reserve champion heavyweight barrow to Cameron Klein. Next is our drive for our county bred and born. Out of Class 49, Riley Jordan, and out of Class 50, Brady Beck.
I'll bring the two belted barrows back out here. Two really nice barrows. Young ladies over there comes out of that real good class, and where he's got so much power to him, a little pressure right in behind his blade. Talked about him and where I liked him, maybe just picks him out of his hip and hind leg just a bit. Very, very nice barrow. Young man's is maybe just a pinch sounder. Reed's is too stale to me right now. A little older, a little more overdone in terms of his condition, but definitely a good barrow. I think it gets close between the pair of them. The one I'm going to use in this particular division, just keeping what I have in check. Feet, legs, keeping them right, their soundness and structure. Young man's here out of my final class will be my champion. Congratulations. brings out the one there that would be your second bred here in the county, and a nice barrel. Talked about him, you know, within his respected class. Obviously, a big kind of commercial-oriented barrel. Still has his place, still can make a little money. Whenever you take him towards a rail, you take him to a packer, nice barrel. The one that just has more to him everywhere, a little stouter. Maybe was a little pressure right there at the top of his neck. I just wish his rear wheels were a pitch better for me to go ahead and use him out here, where I just talked about soundness all day, but he's still the second best one. The young lady's belted one's reserved. Congratulations.
Our champion, County Born Bred Heavyweight, exhibited by Brady Beck. Our reserve champion, exhibited by Riley Jordan. For our crossbred championship drive, we need the following exhibitors. In the lightweight, Braden Unger Overmeyer. Middleweight, Allie Harsh. Light heavy, Evan Harsh. And heavyweight, Ashlyn Klein. Our reserves that need to be in the makeup arena are the light, Isabel Scales, the middle, Allie Harsh, the light heavy, Sydney Nelson, and the heavy, Cameron Klein. We also need in the makeup arena for the county, bred and born, crossbred, Connor Summers, Max Summers, Allie Harsh, Isabel Scales, Tanner Crum, Gary Palmer, Brady Beck, and Bradley Jordan.
Again, I think it definitely gets close out here. We've got 4 of them that are all in contention. I don't know that you could go wrong with anything if you just kind of describe them right, but I do ask if you could, with as much quality as we've had in the Crossbred Barrel Show and as much quality as we've had so far, we'll have an awesome champion drive, but put your hands together for these kids that have kind of got through and got into the divisions and won in this particular setting. I don't mean this the wrong way when I say it, but we're county fair guys at home. I mean, we like going to our county shows whenever we can, and our shows are actually open to the public, so we can actually go to each other's counties and kind of, poke and prod at each other if we really want to. And I'm sure some of you are thinking, boy, that'd be fun if I could, but still, it's one of those things that whenever you get to a show as a show judge, you never really know what you're going to expect. And I can tell you first and foremost and straight up, it's been as good and as exciting of a barrel show at a county level as you could have. I mean, at the top end of the purebreds, the top end of these crosses, guys, these are good pigs. And I'm not saying they could go win the world's biggest show ever, but I am telling you that there's a dang good set of hogs out there. And from that standpoint, you folks should all be very, very proud. We'll get our champions here in just a little bit, and I don't mean to give a big speech, but I am proud of the kids that are out here because there's 4 spectacular barrels that they've done an awesome job with. If you're standing around the ringside and you're watching and you have no idea really what's going on, the only thing you need to know is these 4 kids and the ones that have came through the crosses so far have worked their tails off to make these things drive like they have and get them presented like they have. And from that, my compliments to you guys. Again, it's just about personal preference. I think one of them out here is an outlier. I think he's stout, he's really square, he's awesome at the top of his blade, incredible down his back, perfect amount of width and spread, leaving you the right way whenever he comes to you, dead on whenever he leaves you, and just an incredible running gear. I think a unique specimen out here. Fix him right there in one area, and I think we've got one that's just deadly, deadly good, and he still is. I like the painted up barrel out here. Congratulations to him. Brings in that reserve in that division, and I thought whenever those two kind of came together, I thought they did very easily in that division, because man, is that thing good built from the side. I mean, perfect bone, body, length of rib, everything together. I mean, it is hard to put one together like that. Whenever I step in front of him and I get right behind him, if we're getting critical on him now, he needs to be better right here through his chest. We get right in behind him and we can square him up just a pinch in the way that he sits there, and his right rear leg in particular, maybe not quite as much in the seat of his pants as another one, but man, is he incredibly good built from the side. Awesome pattern. Belted barrels, big top, that got lots of shape in him, real square, leaving you maybe just a little more jammed up front, not just as square in his front toes there as what a few of the other ones are, but awesome in terms of his presence from their back. Red belted barrel is unique in his division, little round, a little different in his hind leg, but man, is he unique. Colored, awesome pattern. Blue barrel is a big, ripe and ready one that came with a power and a punch that you couldn't imagine unless you're up here and on top of him. Incredible spread down his top, and yet still right in his feet and legs. I didn't think his bones matched him quite as good. I didn't think he was as just square at his knee, but I still think whenever you're out here and amongst the group of them and up and on top of them, he is the second best one. The blue one out of your heavies is reserved. Congratulations, sir.
Our champion crossbred barrow today is presented by Evan Harsh, with the trophy being sponsored by Steve King. The reserve champion crossbred barrow exhibited by Ashlyn Klein. Our next drive is going to be for our champion county bred Lauren Cross. And in that running, we'll have from the lightweight Connor Summers, middleweight Allie Harsh, light heavy Tanner Crom, and heavyweight Brady Beck. Our reserves were light Max Summers, middle Isabel Scales, light heavy Gary Plummer, and heavyweight Riley Jordan.
Come on. Running around here. In the hand.
We get our four barrows back out to be our county born and bred champion, and I think again four very high quality barrows that you folks should feel very proud of if you raise them along the ringside. One of them to me, just kind of comes out of his division as one of those that fit the mold of another one in there. I thought two really good barrows, and then we had started getting those heavyweights, and boy, it just kind of got a little tougher as the drive continued and went on. Still another real good barrow. I think he's just maybe a pinch straight up front, like to fix his knee, but real square build, good looking, got the right proportions to him right now. Young lady's barrow here closest to me is my champion. Congratulations to her. For reserve, I definitely think it gets just a little bit. Oh, sorry. For reserve contentions there. I'm glad the young lady brings her blueberry to us and a hog, that comes out here, and I mean unique in some areas. He's square built in one of them, and I think about whenever he leaves me, he's not as good coming right to you, but man, I like his length and his pattern, his elevation up front, and that feature to his hind leg, just a little bit more stable than one of these other ones out here behind, and yet still a better look than the other pair of belted ones there. So my compliments to him, but that young lady that brought hers there, maybe just a pitch late, is definitely reserved. Congratulations to her.
Our champion county bred born crossbred exhibited by Allie Harsh, as a reserve, Isabel Scales. We next are going to recognize our tenure 4-H members, provide the Pork Producer Scholarship Awards and the Greg Miller Honorary Largest Pig. As those folks come to the arena, we do want to have a special recognition also. If you see Bob Overmeyer today, give him a handshake. This is his 76th consecutive Fulton County Fair that he's attended. 4-H members, we need you to come to the arena, please. That would be Lauren Gardner, Allie Harsh, Brock Heiser, Maria Hunting, Ashlyn Klein, Kelsey McKee, and Dawson Overmeyer.
Before we recognize our 10-year members, we want to recognize some of the scholarship winners for the Fulton County Pork Producers. Last year, Adriana Day and Ross Pearson, they both earned $500 scholarships from the Fulton County Pork Producers. So if you guys are here, congratulations. I'm not sure if Ross is here or not today. And then the pork producers would also like to recognize the winners for this year. And the winners this year are Allison Marsh, Maria Hunting, Ashlyn Klein, and Dawson Overmeyer. So congratulations to those individuals.
Special award in honor of Greg Miller, the largest hog in the barn award. And this year it goes to Mackenzie Lehman at 330 pounds. So Mackenzie, if you would come out and receive your award. Go ahead and introduce our tenure 4-H members. We would like for you to say your name, who your parents are, your best 4-H memory that you can repeat in the arena, and what your future plans are. So Dawson, you're on the back.
my parents are Joe and Chris Hunting. My favorite 4-H memory, I can't remember what it was, but one of the queens was handing out ribbons. I think it was Michaela Lloyd, and she rode a pig across the whole ring. It was pretty funny. I'm going to Purdue University, and I'm majoring in biology.
My name is Brock Roger, and my parents are Glenn and Jim Roger, and my future plan is to work on a family farm, and my favorite voice memory is feeding the pigs.
I'm Kelsey McKee. My parents are Sean and Tanya McKee. My favorite memory was probably pig wrestling, and I'll be going to Purdue University to double major in special education and elementary education.
Okay, we'd like to congratulate all these senior 4-H members. You guys have done a great job in 4-H, and you have a lot of young people looking up to you. We wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. Congratulations. There's a mistake in the catalog when we start the grand drive. We're going to start with the Paraveros drive, then the guilds, and then the singles. We're ready for the Paraveros drive. We need the champion purebred Paraveros, Colin Grossman, and the champion crossbred Paraveros, Ashlyn Klein. And we also need the reserve Paraveros, Braden Calvert and Gavin Young. As our parents make their way up to the arena, we want to go ahead and have our royalty introduce themselves. So let's have you guys say your names and what's been your favorite part of the fair so far.
My name is Whitley Bartman. I'm the first runner-up. My favorite part, not really my favorite, but it's the funniest. I woke up, went to go to my rabbit show, and my meat pen escaped. And we just found it this morning, the day after the show.
I'm Rolanda Ranker. I am the Junior Leader Ambassador this year, and I would have to say one of my favorite memories from this weekend is just helping mini rangers or anybody in the barn.
My name is Brittany Ramos. I'm your Miss Blue Reality, and my favorite part is learning more about 4-H.
Hi everyone, my name is Adrienne Degg, and my favorite part would probably be helping my brother Victor over the horse farm since I'm no longer in 4-H.
Reserve champion purebred pair, Braden Calvert, and reserve champion crossbred pair, Gavin Young, in the makeup arena. Our drive that we're going to have here in the arena is going to be for our grand champion pair bearers. Our purebred with Colin Grossman. Our crossbred pair, Ashley Klein. All of our champion guilds into the makeup arena, champion guilds. Our champion purebred pair of barrows, exhibited by Colin Grossman. And our champion crossbred pair, exhibited by Ashley Swine.
For our champion pair of barrows, we got 4 really nice individuals out here, and I think each and every one of them kind of remember where they placed within their classes, but just even bringing them back as a pair of them fit together very well. And I like how they do the pairs even before they do their single drives, because you don't really know and you don't think about how they'll be placed. You just simply place them on how good they are and then how they are in comparison to each other. Amongst the pair of them, I think that just 2 of them just have that much more to them, shape, width, look, and yet still so very sound. 2 very good barrows. The crosses will be your champions. Congratulations. Brings out those reserve crosses, and obviously just by simply looking at them you can tell that sheer weight's different within them comparatively to the purebreds and the crossbreds. It was simple quality alone, and yet still their build that allowed them just to go ahead and stay together comparatively to what we had in our crosses. I love the feature of both those hogs, big muscled hogs, and yet still wide built for being light weights. I think it gets very close between them. Whenever you begin to study both pairs of them, though, simple quality is what will allow me to go ahead and just use another pair to be reserved. The crosses will be your reserve as well. Congratulations.
Our grand champion pair of barrows today, exhibited by Ashlyn Klein, with the trophy being sponsored by Beck Family Show Pigs. The reserve grand champion pair of barrows, exhibited by Gavin Young, and the trophy is sponsored in memory of Don Snipes. As we prepare here for our Grand Champion Guild Drive, we'd like to thank again Miles Tenyus for coming from Illinois today to share his experience with our fair. So Miles, thank you so much for being here today. All of the reserve champion guilds into the makeup arena, please. Reserve champion guilds. I'd like to introduce our champion guilds today in show order. Representing the Berkshire breed is Braden Unger Overmeyer. Representing Chester White, Braden Unger Overmeyer. Our Durbrock champion today was Connor Summers. Our Hampshire champion, Max Summers. Our Hereford champion, Blake Plummer. Our Landrace champion, Allie Harsh. Our Poland China champion, Tyler Barton Overmeyer. Our Spot champion, Max Summers. Our Tamworth champion, Tyler Barton Overmeyer. Our York champion, Annie Harsh. And our Crossbred champion, Evan Harsh.
Seems like the guild show is a ways away. We get into the barrows and we do lunch and then we come back and we get our champion drive. And definitely has been an awesome guild show. Please put your hands together for each and every one of those exhibitors in show guilds today. Great group of them. I'm very very proud of the set of gilts that we bring back and what we have to put together for a top 5. I do think there's just an extraordinary group of them out here, breed gilts that you can utilize at home. They're show gilts, and then yet still you can take back and just kind of make some of those things that you want to. If you want to turn around, make some good gilts next year, or just make some good show barrows or whatever it is, there's an elite set of them out here. Amongst the group of them, I think one of them is just a little different. I think one of them is just a little taller up front, yet still opened up big up underneath her skeleton. Incredibly good on her running gear, awesome hip and hind leg, very, very stout in her bug, and yet still has such a beautiful look to the lower side of her jaw. I think an incredible one, as you just begin to talk about feet and legs and just the standpoint of the way that I want to put them together. It's not everybody's kind, but it's my kind, and whenever you have that, then all of a sudden you get to use it whenever you want to. Young Man's Crossbred will be your champion. Congratulations again.
Our grand champion gilt today was exhibited by Evan Harsh with a trophy sponsored in memory of Josh Baxter by the Zent family.
Brings in that reserve champion crossbred gilt, and obviously one that does maybe want to present herself a little bit better as we come towards the champion drive and just being a little slower walking, and you can get a good look at her. Guys, I'm telling you, whenever that crossbred gilt, the champion came into the ring earlier, I thought, oh man, what a good one. And she twists her front feet. Hey, I'm not going to lie to you, I can see that. Outside of that, I thought she was incredible in terms of her spread, her bulk, and just what she put together. Drop that reserve cross in, I don't think she's no slouch either. Incredibly good looking out front, ties her neck up like a show heifer up on the top of her shoulder. Incredibly good in her body, very good on her feet and legs, and yet still very, very square. It'd be very, very hard to not keep her in the top pair. The reserve cross is reserve champion. Congratulations, sir.
Our reserve grand champion gilt exhibited by Isabel Scales, with the trophy being sponsored by Steve King.
A third overall, I think, is one that is very, very unique. And what I like doing at home and what we like to do is make barrows. We enjoy showing, feeding, raising them, doing those things. The gilts we're hoarders of because we want to keep them all around, and we don't get to sell them very often because we want to continue to make what we like and what we want to feed. And I think the one that I'm going to use third overall might be as unique, the pair of them between third and fourth might be as unique as any of them within their respective breeds. As you just talk about being wide, being stout, being comfortable, whenever you're out here on them, I mean, one of them is an absolute monster, and yet can still handle it so good. The Landrace gilt third. Congratulations, sir.
Our third overall gilt is exhibited by Allie Harsh.
Reserve Landrace comes in, like we talked about, just like the loosener and hinge her a little better behind. I think it gets real close between a few of these other ones out here. The one I like to be fourth best is intriguing from the side. Stout-headed, big arm, huge hind leg. Fundamentals are right in this gilt, and I still think her feet and legs are in check. Talked about her in her division and when she's out here amongst the rest of them. Maybe not as much pop and bulk right to her center body. But guys, this one's real good too. The spot gilt's fourth. Congrats to her.
Our fourth overall gilt exhibited by Max Summers.
Brings brings in that reserve spot, big style, robust gilt, real good out there in terms of her hip. Like to just go ahead and fix her up front just a little bit. Looks like she's a little far past her prime in terms of maturity, but a very good one. I think it gets close between getting into our fifth. We've got a very, very good Chester gilt that for me is maybe starting to labor just a little bit up front. Got a good Yorkshire gilt that's starting to sway in her spine just a bit from the side and want to knuckle on her rear feet. Got a Duroc gilt that's intriguing, maybe tucks her hind leg just a pinch. She too is one to set down just a little bit hard. The one I like to be fifth best, I think, is awesome outline. Great set of feet and legs within this respective breed. Very, very stout at the ground, and yet still can get out and roll the Hampshire Spike. Congrats to her.
And our fifth overall gilt exhibited by Max Summers. We'd like to thank our sponsors for the overall awards, being various Scales and Family, Scales Financial Incorporated, Wayne Crown family, and Kevin Seacrest. We'll give the 4-H members here a couple minutes to regroup before we call the barrows up. Other 4-H exhibitors, let's remember to come up here and see Kate and let her know what animal, what hog you intend to run through the auction. That needs to be done today. We need our champion barrows to make their way to the makeup arena. The champion barrows to the makeup arena. All right, we're ready to start our Grand Champion Drive for our barrow today. Representing the Berkshire breed, Adeline Jordan. Chester White, Chaz Orberberg. Durham, Max Summers. Hampshire, Connor Summers. Hereford, Isaac Ramsey. Landrace, Ashley Hazelby. Poland, China, Braden Crum. Spot, Jaden Fields. Tamworth, Braden under Overmeyer. Yorkshire, Allie Harsh. And crossbred, Evan Harsh. We need all our reserve champion barrows into the makeup arena, please. The reserve champion barrows.
asked him right here, I said, hey, you want to make this decision for me so nobody gets upset? He said, no, not really. Been a good barrel show. My compliments to each and every one of the kids, the families that have shown any of the picks today. My compliments and my hats off to you, because it doesn't matter if you were up here in the top end of it or you know, you got mixed down to the bottom. I know that it takes time, it takes money, it takes effort, and you have to do it, you know, and just the time especially to put in to kind of get to where you want to be. And so I understand all those things, and from that standpoint, my hats off to each and every one of you, because I don't care how your kid did today, each and every one of those kids that came through here were very, very respectful. And from a show judge standpoint, whenever you get the opportunity to judge shows and there's quality like this, and the families and the exhibitors are still nice to you, that's it's fun, okay? And if you leave and you tell them about your county, and the judge does, and they tell them how much fun they had and how good of a show it was, and that's what makes a good show. I talked about it earlier, you know, in our ring help. I mean, the ring help today is incredible. You don't get that everywhere. You don't get the support like they've put together everywhere. And, you know, I think that's awesome. The folks that put the show on behind the scenes, I don't know that they make a whole bunch of money doing it, but they probably enjoy doing it. And, you know, from that standpoint, I would ask you definitely, most definitely, put your hands together for these people that have put the show on, and the ring help, and everybody that helps get your kids here where they are today. Grandmas, grandpas, aunts, uncles, friends of the family, instant bystanders. I don't care who you are. If you are around ringside, I will tell you, you should be dang proud of the set of kids that you have in this particular county. I can tell you that among shows that I judge, like I talked about, very, very respectful. They're showmen, they're kind, and they understand, you know, defeat. They understand when you win, you have to do it graciously as well. And so that's a big thing for me, and it's something that, you know, as a judge, you always kind of keep in mind in the back of your head as well. And so from that standpoint, you folks should be very proud. The set of arrows today, you know, I think they're deep, and one is going to win. You know, and you only get this opportunity once in a while whenever you do win a show. It doesn't come around every time, and it's not easy. Some of you have probably been doing it your whole lives, and you maybe still haven't gotten to that point to where you want to be or where you want it to be. And maybe you're a 10-year 4-H member and you just didn't get over that hump. You just never got it as far as you ever wanted to. But you at least maybe make some memories, like some of you said, and to me that's spectacular. That's what this thing's about. About 3 or 4 years ago, you know, I can tell you this, and I'll tell you this real briefly. Over the last 3 or 4 years, as I transitioned to 23, 24, 25, 26, 28, and the numbers kind of just continue to kind of fall together. At 28 years old now, I've seen probably more at some points than I've ever wanted to. You know, I guess from my standpoint, let them stand for just a second, okay? Just let them stand. From my standpoint, showing livestock was only about winning whenever we showed. It was only about making sure that we won the banner, making sure we got the trophy, making sure we took the most money home whenever we left. That's the only thing I ever cared about. And my dad always said, he's one of those guys that be the roughest, toughest cowboy you could meet. He says, hey, he said, you've got to understand that there's so much more that is going on comparatively to what you're doing. And I never really did understand that until I was done. I got in college, and I ended up in college. I lost 3 friends. 3 friends to different tragedies, but I lost 3 friends. And I wear a bracelet of one of my very best ones right here on my arm every day. Haven't taken it off since I believe sometime in October of 2015. And you know, it's one of those things that you start to think about whenever you get a little older and you get out of the show ring and you start to grab the microphone and how important these things actually are. Because this friend right here that I have on my arm that carries with me every single day, he was somebody that I met growing up and showing cattle, showing hogs. And we were from 2 different states. He lived 9 hours away from me, but we were very best friends. He stayed at my house, he came down all the time, and showing livestock brought that kid to me. Okay? And I never realized that until he was gone. And we don't realize good things until maybe tragedy happens. Had a buddy just not too long ago, fell off a motorcycle, okay? I walked in about a month, 3 weeks later, me and my buddy that's here today, walked in to the hospital. He didn't remember who I was. And let me tell you something. That's something whenever you sit back and you're young still like I am, you don't understand. And so I walked away from that day and I thought, man, I said, what could possibly, change him? How could he possibly remember me? And the coolest thing happened. Whenever I was in Louisville, Kentucky showing pigs last week with the boys, it was the boy that shows for me. It was his last national show ever. So it was very emotional for us. And right before that kid went the Champion Drive, I got a text message. And it was from that kid. And he said, hey, just wanted to let you know that I'm doing okay. I don't know if you heard about my wreck or not. And mind you, I've been there 3 times. I've seen him. He's at Coleman. I talked to him. Okay? And to me, it was one of those things where all of a sudden I'm like, my gosh, I grew up and I met him showing livestock. And all these people that have impacted my life, they show livestock. And so these kids don't understand it yet. And I hope that you families start to, that there's so much more to just winning at the end of the day. Because you're going to make lifelong friends, you're going to meet people, and we're going to need those people. Because in times of need, in times of struggle, that's whenever everybody started to come together. All of our friends that we grew up showing with, all the families that maybe we butted heads with, everybody was there. And to me, that's a gamer. That's somebody that's a trencher. That's somebody that's involved. And that's why we do exactly what we do every day. So don't get always caught up in just winning things, okay? Your county fair, incredible. Okay, I don't care what kind of fairgrounds it is. I don't care what kind of shavings or what kind of facility we show in. Be dang proud of it. It's your county. Pump your chest up and know, I got the best one, okay, of any of them. That's awesome to me. That's why we do these things. And so, from that standpoint, I didn't want to get, I didn't want to get sad out here. I didn't want to say anything, that made anybody else upset or anything like that, or take any more of you folks' time today. But I did just want to tell you that this means a lot to me to be here. And even if it's a little county fair, and so many have asked, can't believe you came, can't believe you do these little county fairs still. These mean more to me than whenever I put a suit and tie on and go judge the biggest ones in the nation. So, thank you. Just like I told my buddy when we pulled in today, I said, hey, I don't know what's in there. I don't know what we'll see today. I don't have a clue. But it means something to somebody, so I'm going to give it my very best. And I have tried to. I'm trying to give every one of your kids a fair and honest shake at it. Had a lot of fun doing it. I think your barrows out here are incredible. I think that each and every one of them put together things that I love to talk about, that we love to feed on, we love to breed on, and we love to do. I think one of them is unique. I think he's an outlier. I think he is maybe one of those that's maybe not shined up like the rest of them. Maybe doesn't just have those, just the extra pop whenever he first comes. But whenever you actually study this thing and how naturally good this barrow is, I think he's impeccable. Those of you that show and have done it for years, you understand how hard it is to make them. The one that comes out here to me hit me the very hardest. This boy has had one heck of a day, but he's also going to win the barrow show, the Crossbreeder Champion. Congratulations.
Our grand champion barrow today is exhibited by Evan Harsh. The trophy is sponsored by Macy Elevator.
Brings in that reserve crossbred barrow and one that obviously is a young lady closes her years in 4-H and she's beginning to move on to college and everything like that. As I just saw, she brought a barrow that she thought, hey, I've got one that's dang sure competitive, and I darn sure think he is. I hope that we can agree that maybe he's just not as far out there in terms of width and bone as what our champion barrow is, but he is dead on and maxed out in terms of his back. Comes ready to rumble in his rib. I mean, big, wide, round rib cage in him. Perfect feet and legs whenever that guy wants to set himself in motion and go. Very, very elite barrow. It's close out here between a few of them. The one that I like second best, the young lady's got. Congratulations. Well, there again, very, very close. I thought one of our purebreds would push our champion crossbreds just a little bit harder. came to me maybe just a little rougher on his front foot than what I would have imagined he did, and I don't know if he scuffed it back there or what happened. Didn't think he did it quite like that within his class and breed drive, but guys, I think if we keep him good enough up front and we take him in here in a few weeks towards August to the state fair, this one's big time and big league, and those that show Hampshire barrows will know that he's that good. This Hampshire's my third favorite. Congratulations to him. Brings in that reserve man, I talked about him. I thought that pair of barrows was so good right there into those Hampshire breed. And that guy too, he's one of those that, obviously needs to get to a bigger weight to really start to exemplify what he has to offer. But that's a darn good one. Another one out here, just a big old powerhouse. I mean, came to me in his breed. I thought, boy, I don't know if they're going to come any wider, any more powerful than this guy. Gets a little out in his front end. Maybe just doesn't handle it just quite as well as we keep him driving. But I do think a very, very intriguing one as well. Yep. I've never seen that before. That was an awesome flip to the whip. Young man's Duroc barrel right there. It's going to be cool. Brings in that reserve Duroc Baron again. A good hog. One that gets out, tracks well up front, gets a little underneath himself with his rear foot. A darn sure good one there as well. The one I like fifth best is another one I think is a big league player. You get him into a group of them, and if he's just good enough in terms of one area, I think this guy's big league as well. Incredible running gear, awesome spread, neat look to his head, very big, shapely. Very big, shapely back in him, and yet still goes so good. Yorkshire Barrows fine.
To round out our barrow show today, our reserve grand champion barrow is exhibited by Swine, with the trophy sponsorship by Scales Financial Services. Third overall, Connor Summers. Fourth overall, Max Summers. And fifth overall, Allie Carr. Our overall award sponsors are Barry Scales Family, Scales Financial Incorporated, Wayne Crom Family, and Kevin Seacrest. All right, our next drive is going to be for our county born and bred barrows. So we need all the champions to come into the show arena and get pinned for our county born and bred. Barrow. Binky, we need your York. We need all of our reserve champion, county born and bred Barrows into the makeup arena. The reserve champion, county born and bred. This is our last call for Marshall Binky's Spot Barrel and Marshall Binky's North Barrel. For each members, let's make sure we come up here to Kate and tell her which animal you're going to run through the sale. For each member, that's your responsibility to let Kate know who you're going to run through the sale. It's getting a little warm outside, so the picks are moving a little bit slower, but they're coming. After we do this drive, we're going to start with showmanship, which will be the beginning showman. And those are the 4-H'ers who have completed the 3rd and 4th grades for beginning showmanship.
Yeah, I know they lost, but it was fun. For the grandchild.
All right, we're getting ready to start our county board and bred drive. Our first breed is going to be Berkshire exhibitor Adeline Jordan. The family breeder is Beck Family Show Pigs. Our Chester Wine exhibitor Emily Grossman, and the breeder is Riley Reichert. Our Duroc exhibitor, Max Summers, and the breeder family is Summers family. Hampshire, Connor Summers with the breeder, Summers family. Hereford, exhibitor Isaac Ramsey, and the breeder is Bill and Sherry Ramsey. Landrace, Ashley Hazelby, and the breeder is Ashley Hazelby. Colwyn China, exhibitor Gavin Leininger, and the breeder Kevin Seacrest. Spot, exhibitor Marshall Finke, and the breeder Summers family. Tamworth, exhibitor Braden Under Obermeyer, and the breeder D&H Showstock. Yorkshire, exhibitor Marshall Finke, and the breeder Summers family. And our crossbred exhibitor Allie Harsh, and the breeder is Chris Ulrich.
We get all of our breed champions back out here, and I don't take this lightly either. I mean, these are, born right here in the county and bred and then fed, and I think that's spectacular that you folks do that, because that, just shows what you guys do all across here. Somebody won the trivia over there too, if you were wondering. Great group of them all the way through here. One of them just very, very intriguing to me, and like I talked about, if he stays good in one area, I think he is a big league player. The Hampshire Barrow's your champion, born and bred here. Congrats to him.
Our Grand Champion County bred and born exhibitor is Connor Summers with a trophy sponsored by the Lukens family.
Really good reserve Hampshire Barrow to come back to you. And I thought, whenever we had both of those out there, that one could be very, very respectful in the top 5 as well. Whenever he came back to me, I just didn't think maybe he just had quite as much bone or width as what I was thinking he did early. But man, he's still good shape. Good hip and hind leg. Really a neat profile of Barrow. Like to just loosen him up, just a pinch up front. Another one out here, just a back truck coming to you, leaving you right up on top of him. Your Ops Reserve. Congrats to him.
And our reserve Grand Champion County bred and born exhibitor is Max Summers with the sponsorship of the trophy by Wade and Becky Hayes. We'd also like to recognize our other breeders from our reserve category. For the Berkshire, their exhibitor was Abby Harsh, and the breeder is Chris Ulrich. From the Jura, exhibitor Abby Harsh, and the breeder was Kyle Clausen. From the Hampshire, the exhibitor was Annie Harsh, and the breeder was Barry Scales. From Hereford, the exhibitor was Blake Boomer, and the breeder was Bob Daly. From Landrace, the exhibitor was Amanda Evers, and the breeder was Barry Scales. From the Spots, the exhibitor was Gavin Young, and the breeder was Lucan's Legacy Spots. From Tamworth, the exhibitor was Tyler Barton Obermeyer. The breeder was D&H Showstock. The Yorkshire exhibitor Macy Himmel. Exhibitor Chris Ulrich. And the Cross exhibitor is Isabel Scales, and the breeder was Barry Scales. We'd like for our beginning showmen to make their way to the makeup arena, begin our showmen. are going to be grades 3 and 4 completed this last year. 4-H members, let's make our way up here to the announcing table and let Kate know what pig and what tag number that you're going to sell. As we progress here with our showmanship, just as a reminder, the junior showmen men are 4-Hers that have completed 5th and 6th grade. Our junior 2 showmen are 4-Hers that have completed 7th and 8th grade. Our senior showmen are going to be those who have completed grades 9 through 12. Then our master showman will be any previous senior showmanship winner. All right, we're going to start our first round of showmanship. Our first one is going to be our beginners. Just complete your grades 3 and 4. We know it's been a long day. The pigs are hot. The kids are probably a little warm. The parents are definitely hot. The judge is hot. Well, I don't know if I just said it that way, but I did. Might be overheated. I just better stop.
Well, showmanship, I'm not probably the best showmanship judge ever because I don't always maybe ask questions, I don't pin them, and I don't make them drive other kids' hogs, whatever it is. Biggest thing about showmanship for me is you got to get one stuck. And to me, I think each and every one of these kids are doing a phenomenal job from that standpoint. All of them have good things about them, good smile. I think the biggest thing is, just working on keeping them towards the middle of the ring, making sure you keep that good comfort level, always out there and always making sure that I could see I'm the one that had just the best control and just ended up always coming out there. You could always find them. They were always in the right particular area. They kept their pit going, kept towards the middle. Just always gave you a very, very good look. Young man right here with that white barrel is my champion in this division. Congratulations, if you would. Great group of them all the way through, and I think each and every one of them kind of needs to be an honorable mention throughout the group of them. Some of them may be a little more stop and go. I told them just make sure you work towards the middle. Young man's red belted barrel kind of gave him just a little bit of a fit as we kind of continued to drive there, but he did a good job as well. Give all these kids a nice big round of applause. Their champion still today was our young man down there in the blue.
Showmanship participants to make their way to the makeup arena. That is 4-Hers that have completed the 5th and 6th grade.
Our champion beginning showman was Max Harsh, and our honorary was Braden Hunter Obermeyer. All right, we apologize to the beginning showman. Everybody who was a beginner showman, make sure you come back out because you get an honor ribbon. So all the beginning showmen get an honor ribbon. Come back up to the announcing stand. Go ahead and have our junior two showmen into the makeup arena. Junior two showmen are in grade 7, just completed grade 7 and 8.
This class, give all the kids a good round of applause. Again, well deserved. Great group of showmen out here. You know, this thing comes down to personal preference, and like I said, not probably the best showmanship judge. I wasn't just the most excellent in showmanship myself. I can name lots of different funny stories and probably give you guys a good laugh about whenever I showed. But I do think that these kids have done a phenomenal job out here. You can tell that it's starting to turn into that age group and where they really are, considering their project being something they have to work with every day. I think to me, that's what's cool about this age group. The last age group, they're just starting to get it. They'll start to get like these kids are and get more aggressive and more fired up and understand the ring just a little bit more, I guess. From that standpoint, I think one of them just did a phenomenal job. I think start to finish, always right there in the middle. Always made sure that I could see them. They were far enough away whenever a big group of them wanted to bunch up. They were closer to the middle whenever they could be. And just always a very smooth, very, very comfortable drive. You just kind of knew where they were. And I think, again, you've got to take in the showmanship. You don't have to take in the quality of pig, but the quality of their skin and hair and just the way that they're presented. And I think one of them has just done a phenomenal job. Young lady right there is my champion in this division. Congratulations to her. Moving into some of our honorable mentions, the young man here in the blue shirt, I thought did a very, very good job. And I found that maybe this one to run away from him just a little bit more than ideal. But he did an awesome job of just trying to stay out there in the middle, keep him going. Same thing with the young man there on the far side with the blue gilt, does a good job. The gilt maybe gave up on him just a little bit. A few more of these are just a little more stop and go. Like to see him just get out here and drive a little easier. Congratulate them again, if you would. Great group of kids here in this division.
Congratulations to Sydney Nelson for being the Junior 1 showman with the trophy sponsorship by Steve, Tammy, Emily, and Caleb Geiger. The honorable mentions, Isaac Ramsey and Gavin Young. Also at the beginning, showmanship trophy was sponsored by Beck Family Showcase. We need to get our senior showmanship into the makeup arena. Senior showman.
Why I don't like judging showmanship, because whenever it gets tough, I don't want to be the one making the call, because I'll make a call every day and real easily on pigs that don't bother me a bit, but whenever you get in it and you just start to kind of debate on which one's the best showman, and whenever you got a handful of them out here that do an awesome job, I mean, that gets pretty critical. And you know, like I said, I'm not one of those that's going to pin them 10 times, and I'm not one of those that's going to make them switch pigs and not going to ask a bunch of questions. I'm pretty sure whenever you get hog stroll and you get them presented and you get them the right path and just trained the right way, you probably know what your pigs and your notches. You probably have a clue what they're eating, and you've probably been around them once or twice. And you can see the comfortable positioning between a few of these kids and their pigs and just kind of where they're at. I do think it comes down to maybe about 3 or 4 of them out here. 3 or 4 of them that have done just an excellent job. I think it gets very, very, very close between 2 of them. I just continue to kind of go back, to a pair of them. I thought they were the 2 that just always kind of did something different. I thought whenever you would get them out and you'd watch them drive, they were always very comfortable. One of them, amongst the pair of them, was always doing something different. I thought whenever that group of pigs would go one way, the other pig would go the other way, and they just always made sure that they were ahead of the ball game. They always knew right where I was, kept it comfortable the whole time, and not whip happy. I think as a pig trained, that just allows them to naturally be a comfortable showman and keep their head up, keep them driving right, and always kind of at that right particular distance whenever you can be, to make sure that you can turn, spin, and come to me and go away. And from that standpoint, it does get close between a couple of them. The one that I just thought, only continued and just impressed me throughout the drive, only continued to just kind of get that much better, and you could always find them, always made sure that you could amongst the group. Again, very complimentary of each and every one of your kids. It's very close between them. The one that I'm going to use to be the champion in this particular division, always just very, very easy to find. Young man will be your champ. Congratulations to them. Honorable mention, the one that got very close is this young lady right here. And, so many times I thought whenever we talked about them earlier there that I talked about being a little more laid off the stick. I was talking about her because she doesn't use it maybe quite as much as that young man does. Then whenever I started talking, got down there and maybe got him a little anxious, she starts running into pigs out here. We got to make sure that we watch where we're going at all times, make big turns, but she does a very, very, very good job. Young man with the Tamworth Guild, smooth job done by him as well. Got to make sure that we come back and we get the old shirt tucked in, or we get maybe just a little more prepared to come back out. The young man there that drives the big cross barrel did an awesome job as well. Maybe a hog that obviously has been through a few drives and just didn't kind of want to go. But my compliments to all of them. Great job, great group, and very, very fun to work with.
Our Junior 2 Showman champion today is Matt Summers with a trophy sponsored by Kurt and the Aaron Klein family. The honorably mentioned is Isabel Scales and Tyler Burton Overmeyer. Next into the show arenas are going to be our senior showmen, and those are the 4-Hers who have completed 9th through 12th grades. Then to finish up our show, after we select our senior showman, we'll have those of you who are eligible for master showman, and that is any of our previous senior showman winners. Also, 4-H members, make sure you make your way right up here to the announcer stand and let Kate know the tag number of the pig that you want to run through the sale.
group of senior showmen. I think, again, all four of them do a great job. If, you know, we're just talking about, I'd like to see some of them maybe just get a little bit more aggressive whenever we're out here, just to kind of keep them towards the middle there. A few of these hogs just starting to wear down, obviously a little bit, maybe not doing what they want them to do. One of them, I thought, you know, as you watch them throughout the day, you think about the way they showed early, and then you bring them back in the group of them, take nothing away from the rest of them, but I thought a very phenomenal showman the entirety of the day. And I made mention of it quite a few times, and just the ability to get one stuck. And I definitely think each and every one of these kids do an awesome job. The one that just does it the very best, and it always transitions right. You get back behind them, they transition in front of those pigs, and that's what those two young people did so well in the last particular class there. That was fun to watch in those, and there were some things that those two kids did in that last class that could be learned by all. It doesn't matter what age group that you're in showmanship. I thought a phenomenal job. The one that does it the very best right now in this ring is the young man with the white barrel. Congratulations to him. Young lady there with my honorable mention, I thought did an excellent job. Crossed over between me and the pig too many times, and where I got to one side, pig starting to maybe change a little colors, get a little ornery out here, kind of had the reverse mode on for a bit. Got the other two out there that just got a little too fast-paced at times, but great job, great set of senior showmen. We'll get through our advanced or whatever you may call it here in just a second. Awesome group.
Our senior showman winner today is Swine. We'd like to make an announcement that as soon as we're finished up here with the Master Showmanship Prize, we would like to have all the grand champions bring their pigs up for the newspaper pictures and for the showmanship winners.
Again, reasons number one why I do not like judging showmanship is whenever they're good. Because whenever you get into some of those smaller heats, the smaller kids, there's always usually somebody that kind of makes their pig get out towards the middle and they give you a good look, and then you start working towards the older age divisions, and gosh darn it, they all kind of do the right thing, and then all of a sudden you're like, what do you do? And then your grandma, grandpa, or whoever you are, parent, whatever you may be on the outside, you root for your favorite, no doubt, and it just has to be a personal preference thing out here. I do think it gets very close whenever I study them. I just tell you real quick about him. The young man with the Yorkshire Barrel does a very, very, very good job of just getting his pig out and making him go, positioning himself to that pig, getting around the front of him and keeping him moving. Hog had quite a fast year whenever he first came in there. Maybe has slowed down just a little bit. Biggest thing about him, if I'm going to get nitpicky, I think he gets plenty happy with the whip. He really, really wants to plop on that barrow's face quite a bit, and that hog will leave with a very, very, quite a bit of marks across each side of his head that I just think we've got to maybe back off just a little bit, just to make it look more natural whenever you're a showman, so that you can get very comfortable with them. Young lady with the Duroc Barrow, again, has showed a nice set of pigs today, done a phenomenal job of doing it. I do think that there's times whenever you watch her and you get right behind her, she's the one of the four that always wants to cross between me and the pig. We've got to make sure that she crosses over in the front of it. I think probably something that they probably worked on at home or maybe done before, and it's just long days in the heat. Maybe we just kind of forgot, but you can tell she's a good showman. Just whenever you get right behind her, it's something I get a little nitpicky on. The young lady right here with the blue barrel, phenomenal job done by her today, and it's presenting a good barrel, obviously, and doing it to the very most respectful job that she can do. I think there's times where it almost looks a little awkward. She'll maybe want to just turn and kind of backtrack and walk backwards with the barrel whenever you get on the one side of him, just to try to keep him moving, and then she almost stays on that side most of the time. I do appreciate, though, the way that she drives. That barrel's maybe giving up just a little bit for, and she's having to maybe push down on him and whip on him a little harder. She's done a good job of trying to keep the whip right to his blue, so that you don't get a whole bunch of marks on him. She knows what she's doing. Just maybe a pig that has gotten a little stubborn. Young man with the Duroc Barrel, I think, obviously got one, and if you look at his mouth, he's starting to foam a little bit. That pig is hot, but man, he has drove the wheels off of it and done a phenomenal job of doing it. Always in the right place at the right time. He's one of those that he does not want to make a sharp turn. He will not allow himself to do it. He always makes the big turns out here in the middle of the ring, and I can appreciate that, because you've got to let pigs do that so they'll stay comfortable enough in the ring. There are times where I think that he gets to studying me and watching his pigs so much that he forgets that there's the rest of them in here, and he'll maybe bump into a few of them every once in a while. That's just getting very nitpicky on them. My compliments to each and every one of them. Today, my master showman is just one that I thought, just did a very fall-free job, kind of start to finish. Pig always drove, always in the right area, right time, kept him comfortable, kept him moving. Young man with the Duroc Barrel is your champion. Congratulations to him. A good job done by the rest of them as well. I don't know if we have an honorable mention or anything in here, but each one of these definitely could be I think the young lady probably pushed the hardest amongst them. I think she did a good job of just trying to maintain the barrel. They got plenty on her. You just got to make sure that we can make some bigger turns with it. We talked about the other two as well. Guys, it's been dang fun. I hope they get the opportunity at some point to meet you and evaluate your hogs again at some point. Congratulations to each and every one of your kids and your families. It's been a fun day.
Our 2018 Master Showman is Connor Summers. The trophy is sponsored by Bruce and Rosemary Scales. And also, we want to honor Cameron Klein, Adeline Harsh, and Ashlyn Klein for their participation in the Master Showman. Miles, we'd like to thank you again for spending the day with us here at Fulton County. Members, you need to get up here to the announcement table and let Kate know which animal you intend to sell.
It'll be thin. Thin, yeah. Right. I don't know. I'll make a sure what we probably do in the
Kyle Riffle.
Probably. I'll bet.
We're going to wait up here at the announcer stand for 5 more minutes. If you have the intentions of selling your pig through the sale, you need to get up here and let Kate know the tag number. 5 more minutes.
Good day. You know, you like to use those.
Audience members, remember you have to have the tag number, not the ear notch number, the tag number.
my taking part. That's the only way I know how to gate for it. Okay.
Never know.
Thank you, Sarah.
Pull one off, you know.
Ends up being paid every year, but it's okay.
Little hell. Look at that big thing. Make what he did, huh? Even though they're like, he wants this. He gets crazy on the feet of so I get
This is our final call. Ending the time, you can come up and tell Kate which pig you're selling Friday night through the auction. We would like to have all the showmanship winners come to the arena. You don't need to bring your pig, just come up here so we can take a group picture real quick for the showmanship with your plaque.
All of this
4-Hers 14 and older that wants to pull in the tractor pull this evening, please come to Everett Building off the air office for Thursday night is Ladies Night in the Fair, sponsored by the Fulton County Education Homemaker Association. 18th Annual Open Classroom Safety Contest, 4 to 5 p.m. is the entry time, and 5 p.m. is open session. Cash prizes for best cookies are $25 for first, $10 for second, and $5 for third. There's an entry fee of $2 for a plate of 6 cookies, and your recipe must be submitted with your entry fee. Also, this Thursday is music by the Fulton County Choral Club, and at 7:30 p.m. a fashion show by Rose Fulton. For any members, a reminder if you are a grand champion or reserve grand champion for the Music Building Exhibit Center, please come to the fair office and pick up your trophy. There's a lot of things to do in this way. There's wrestling, mud log, beach trailer, and laser tag, and I have to detail there are $5 a ticket. Also, there's a pool, there's train rides, and/or face painting fees, a free tent activity, and with boxing bar and gifts and wares down in the Midwest. There will be a free matches tonight of wrestling. Friday, we'll have the big dance. There's also several great places to eat down there. There's incredible living concessions, hot tent rooms, retail suave, orchard, optimist club, rail barn, free, fire pit road, teacher, lions club, theater, concessions, and the lovely cheerleaders from camp who have their elephant ear trailers. Check out the pictures. It looks like they should turn this cloud to the Albert Windows.
Yeah.
Teresa, I told Lisa that's what.